Hello there, YouTube, and welcome to another edition of Lori's Thrifty Kitchen Pantry. If you are new, welcome. I am so glad to see you here, and I hope that you enjoy spending time in my kitchen with me today. Uh, for those who are returning subscribers, you see I have my hairpiece on today. Um, I'm going to be doing a lot of cooking, and I want to keep my hair out of my food. Sometimes when I'm stressed out, my hair just tends to fall out, so I want to make sure I keep that out of my food when I'm working today. And y'all, this has been a very stressful week. So we are 2 weeks to Thanksgiving Day from today. Can you believe that already? Just 2 weeks from today. And here in Florida today, we are dealing with the backside of Hurricane Nicole. So I have the doors all open, letting fresh air in. So you'll probably hear the wind howling at times. I just noticed that the tarp on my neighbor's roof finally came off. It's been going all day. She lost part of her roof during Hurricane Ian and had a tarp on it. Oh, now the tarp is flying everywhere. So I hope for her sake, we don't get much more rain, because let me tell y'all, we were pounded, absolutely pounded for hour upon hour with rain that we did not need, because we already had a lot of rain from the last storm. So we're almost out of the wind. By later this afternoon, the wind's going to be out of here. So we're saying bye to the hurricane. Luckily, so far my power has stayed on, and everything on my end is okay, and Mr. Bubba's doing good too. So that being said, I want us to focus on Thanksgiving. Now, I've seen a lot of YouTube challenges where people are doing Thanksgiving meals for $15, $25, $40. But I have found myself this week in a personal SHTF situation, because I'd had a day off scheduled already for a doctor appointment, which I was then sick for and had to reschedule, which meant another day of missed work. And then I was prepping for the hurricane, so I missed that day of work. We were closed on Thursday, so I missed Thursday. I missed Wednesday because I had gotten sick on Monday and had to reschedule my doctor appointment, so that was another missed day. And schools were already closed tomorrow on Friday for Veterans Day, so that meant I have missed a whole week of work. And when you are a substitute teacher in Florida, anytime you don't work, you don't get paid, because they don't accrue time off or anything like that. So we get paid when we schedule ourselves to work. So because I suddenly found myself unable to work this week, I have no income coming in. So that means I am not doing one of the popular budget challenges. I am using what I have, whatever way I can have it. So I'm going to be showing you what I find when I shop in my pantry. Things are not going to be fresh. They're going to be out of a can box or jar, because that's what I have, and I'm not taking money to buy fresh vegetables at this point. I even had to change my plans for dessert, because I wanted to do a cheesecake in the Instapot as one of my very favorite things to have. But y'all, here in Florida, I decided I was not paying that price for cream cheese, so I had to come up with the plan B. So I think plan B is going to be acceptable. I'm making it everything up as we go along. I did get a recipe sent in from one of our community members. I'm going to be using that as a base for a side dish. It's technically supposed to be used with root vegetables like carrots and potatoes and maybe parsnips and things like that. But because I don't have any of that, I'm using canned sweet potatoes and canned carrots in mine. But I am going to keep the dressing part the same, like, because I have those ingredients in my refrigerator and pantry already. So that being said, I'm going to show you how to put together a Thanksgiving dinner when you don't have money to go to the grocery store to buy stuff for Thanksgiving dinner. You can still have a really good meal if you have a stocked pantry. So that being said, let's get into the kitchen and let's get cooking our Thanksgiving pantry meal. Okay, aside from a few things I have in my refrigerator, this is pretty much what I pulled from my pantry to do our Thanksgiving meal with. So starting here, I have some little pie shells that I pulled out of my freezer. I had those for a recipe that I didn't use, so I'm going to be using those today. I'm not sure if I'm going to use the beef broth or not. I left that out just in case. So for those who are on our Tuesday night live, you know that I'm really not a fan of green bean casserole, but I am going to try it today. I'm going to use a combination of cream of onion and cream of celery soup instead of the cream of mushroom, because we're going to turn it up a bit and see if I can't make myself like it a bit better. And you can see I have some crispy onions. I actually keep those in my pantry. They are fantastic on hot dogs, so I almost always have those in my pantry. And I did get a recipe from Tona, one of our community members. It is for a root vegetable casserole type thing. I am changing it a little bit. The recipe calls for root vegetables, but I don't have fresh vegetables on hand, and I'm not taking money to buy them. So I am going to use some canned vegetables and then make the sauce that goes over it and throw that in the oven. But I will link her recipe down below that tells how to do it using fresh vegetables. And Hoosier Prepping Nurse had sent me a care package. Some of the jars had gotten damaged, but I was able to save the cans of turkey. You can see one of the labels is coming off of that can, so I'm going to go ahead and use that can up for today. I have a box of the stuffing mix I had gotten from my discount food store that I paid 30 cents a box for. That did turn out to be really good stuffing, so I'm going to use that, and I'm going to add a jar of my cooked ground beef to it just to bulk it up and give it some flavor. And I have my spices here that I pulled out and gonna be using. And in my viewer surprise box was a packet of turkey gravy mix, so I'm gonna be using that. And I pulled out some self-rising flour. I'm gonna try to make the 2-ingredient biscuits that everyone on YouTube is raving about. The only things I bought for this meal was a thing of heavy cream for the biscuits, and because I use that for other stuff as well, so it will get used up. And I bought some tapioca pudding to go into our pie shells for little tapioca pies. And I got a thing, of spray can of whipping cream to top our little pies with. That's the only three things I bought for our meal today. So I spent less than $10. Everything else is just stuff that I pulled out of my pantry or people have sent me. And even if I didn't have that big can of turkey to be using up, I do have smaller cans. I would have just used a smaller can. So this is going to be our Thanksgiving meal. So I will spin you around, and we are going to get started on our biscuits first, because that's going to take the longest to get mixed up and for the dough to rest. So let's get this stuff out of my way and let's get cooking. Alright, I think I got you all set up so you guys can see. So first of all, this is how I store my long-term flour. I put it in a brown paper bag. I put in an oxygen absorber. I fold the end down and tape it shut, and then I vacuum seal it. That way nothing can get into it. There are no, you don't have to worry about pantry bugs that kills all the eggs that they lay in the flour and in the wheat. So if you do it this way, you are good to go. You don't have to worry about opening your flour to find bugs or anything in it. So I'm just going to open up my flour, and for these biscuits, from what I've seen, all you do is mix your self-rising flour, because it's got everything in it that you need, along with your heavy cream, and until it forms a dough, and that's all you do to it. So it should be fairly easy, except for opening up my bag with flour in it. So let's see if I can get this open without making too much of a mess. I don't want to do a humongous amount of biscuits, but I will do a few biscuits. So we'll just see how many I get, and we will go from there. So let me get this opened here. It's always nice to have a pair of scissors in your kitchen by your workspace. So I think I put 2 cups of flour in each, either 2 or 4 cups of flour in each bag. So I just need to find the oxygen absorber and get that out of there. And I'm just using my fingers to break this all up. And here is the little oxygen absorber, so that can be thrown away. We are done with that. It has done its job. So I'm just breaking this apart, and you can see the flour is beautiful. It looks really, really nice. I'm just breaking up the little lumps from sucking the air out of our bag of flour. So that is a really easy way to store your flour, and as you can see, it doesn't take up much space doing it that way. So I do need to thank Alaska Prepper for that idea, because that's how I learned to store my flour. So thank you, Alaska Prepper, for all the help with the oxygen absorbers. I am so grateful to the prepping community. They just kind of really step up anytime someone has a question or needs help with anything. they are there. So I am grateful that I had found our YouTube community, because they just have really helped me out a lot. So I'm just dumping and mixing this as I go along until the dough looks right. It's hard to tell when it comes to doughs how much liquid you need. Right now we are really humid because of the storm, so it may actually take a little more of the cream than normal. So I'm just kind of dumping and mixing, and if I need to, I can always add some more of the other flour. But I think this might actually be alright. From what I've heard, you need it to be a little on the sticky side because you're going to roll it out into flour. So you need it to be able to form your ball, and it's getting there, but I think it needs a little bit more of our cream. Okay, hopefully that wasn't too much. So let's give this a shot. And we'll just keep mixing. Okay. From what I heard, you don't want to overmix this. Alright. And from what they say, the fat inside the cream replaces the butter that you normally cut into your biscuits. So we will see if that is true or not. And I think I'm just gonna change to my fingers, which I did wash my hands good before I started, so I am not a good baker. So you can see there's extra flour in the bottom, so I'm just trying to work to get that all incorporated. I do really good with pies and cakes, but when it comes to biscuits and breads, I am not at all good at it. So we will see how easy this comes out. I think I'm just gonna turn this out onto the counter, and we will just start kneading it until it all comes together. And it's actually looking pretty good. And let's see here. Actually, I think I'm gonna try to fold in a bit more of our cream. Now it feels like it's getting there. So we'll just keep kneading as we go along. think we just about got it. Alright, I think that's gonna be good. And I did use almost the entire thing of cream, but that is a lot of biscuit dough. So I'm thinking we're gonna get a lot of biscuits out of that. Alright, let me wash my hands off real quick here. And I don't think I'm going to open that flour just to roll my biscuits out. I think I'm going to roll it out using regular flour because I don't want to open up a bag of flour just to roll my biscuits out in. So let me get in my flour container. And my cutting board. All right. You get our cream back in the fridge. I don't want our cream to warm up too much, so I will use that later for another recipe. Got my rolling pin out. And I think we're ready to start rolling biscuits. So I will get these rolled and cut out and get them on my pan to rest up before we're ready to bake. So I think I'm just going to roll part of it out at a time. I'm not going to try to roll that great big thing of dough, so I'll put that back there. And I'm just forming this into a ball. I don't want too much flour, making our beautiful looking biscuit dough too tough. We'll get this rolled out here, and I like nice, good thick biscuits, so I'm not going to roll it too super thin. I think that's going to be about right, so let me grab my biscuit cutter. Alright, this cutter is very, very old. This was my mom's cutter. It's probably at least 40 years old, if not more. It's probably way older than that. My mom had it as long as I can remember. So, and now I'm using it to make biscuits. They say not to twist it, so I'm just going straight down and straight up. So I'm going to grab the sheet pan. Oh, let's see. All right, got my sheet pan. I'm going to line it with some parchment paper for easy cleanup. All right, there we go. And I'm just going to put these out here on my pan. And I'm going to fold this dough up get a piece of our fresh dough, work it into our scraps. Like so. Work the piece with all the flour into the softer dough. And I'm not adding any more flour to my board. I'm just going to plop that right down and off we go again. All right. That looks about the same thickness. I think that's going to make a good biscuit. I hope so. That looks pretty. All right. And we have the first component of our meal done. Our biscuits are on our pan ready to go in. So the rest of this dough, I'm just going to work those scraps back in here. And I'm going to cover it with some parchment paper and then some foil, and then it will go into a Ziploc bag and into the freezer to use at a later time, because I just need 6 biscuits because it's just me that I cook for, and I don't want to really waste anything. So next time I'm in a hurry and want some biscuits, all I gotta do is pull my dough out. Actually, I think I'm gonna put this in the refrigerator, and before I put it up, I'm gonna go ahead and get it all rolled out and pre-formed into my biscuits, and then I can just pull 1 or 2 out to bake them whenever I need them. So I think that's what we're gonna do. So I'm going to put my biscuits. Let's see, where am I going to put my biscuits? First, I think I'm going to put a piece of plastic wrap over them. And I will find an empty spot where these can just sit and rest and relax a little bit before we bake them, because I did find that really helps with the dough if you let, even with cookies, if you let your dough rest for a little bit before you bake them. All right, and I will bring you back when we're ready to move on to the next step. All right, we are on to our next step, which is our root vegetable bake. So, in our pan goes a cup of orange juice, and this is just our Publix brand. So let me turn you down here so you can see our pan. All right, I think that's good. Get this out of the way. And you all know that I'm a dump and pour kind of person, so we are dumping what looks maybe half a cup, maybe a little more. All right, and a little sip for the cook. Since I live by myself, I can do that, so don't judge me. So now it says that you can add brandy, vanilla, or almond to it. I don't have brandy, but I think what would be really good in this to go along with the orange juice is this apple whiskey. So I'm just, and I don't have too much in there, so I'm just gonna dump that in because that's gonna reduce and cut the alcohol down and out of there. Plus it's gonna cook in the oven, so it's gonna get cooked really, really well. And now the recipe calls for a bunch of different spices, but I didn't have a lot of the spices that were needed, so as soon as I find where I put it, I will show you what I'm going to be using. Let me see, where in the world did I put that? Alright, where did you go? I am looking, and I think I just spied it. I am going to be using this Chinese 5-spice. So you can find it in your spice aisle, and it has anise, cinnamon, star anise, cloves, and ginger in it. So this takes the place of a lot of the ingredients that goes in there. So we're just gonna kind of dump some of that in there. And I will link the original recipe in the description box. I will make sure that it's all typed out for you. Alright, and we're just going to whisk this together. Make sure all of that gets mixed in. And it also takes some honey. So let me get my honey out, which I am almost out of. So we're going to get out of here all of it that I can. So we're just going to squeeze our honey in here. I wish I had realized that I was this low on my honey. I would have gotten some more. But that's what happens when you cook with what you have. I actually squeezed about all of that out that I can. So I actually think I am going to add some maple syrup to this. I think maple syrup will add the sweetness that we need and a little bit of extra flavor to it. And I think that will get us to where we need to be. Let me get that whisked in there. And we'll get this simmering and reducing. And while that is reducing, let's read the package on our dessert shells here. You bake these at 350 for 3 to 5 minutes. So we will get our oven started. And press start. And we'll go ahead and get those baked off while our sauce is reducing here. So let me give our sauce a taste. Oh yeah. Actually, I think it needs just a little bit of brown sugar. I think the brown sugar, along with the maple syrup, will be just right. And this is just plain old brown sugar that I had in my cabinet. There we go. All right, let's give this a good whisk. Get that in there. Give that a good whisk. I think this is going to be a really great dish. I'm looking forward to that. Just another taste. Oh yeah, perfect. That is exactly what that needed. Oh yeah. That orange juice along with that apple whiskey that we put in there is absolutely amazing. That is so freaking good. And while this continues to reduce, we're going to go ahead and get our ground beef cooked that we're going to add to our stuffing. So let me get this open. So sometimes cooking is just about multitasking. You have to do more than one thing at a time to get everything timed out right. Oh, that was an amazing seal. That sound makes me happy. That tells me that that was a really good seal. So here's what it looks like on the inside. This is just home canned ground beef that I pressure can myself, and we're just going to heat that up and finish browning it off so we can get it drained and mixed into our dressing. It's already all fully cooked because it was pressure canned. It doesn't look like it, but it is fully cooked. Let me show you what this pan looks like. All right. Oh, that's better. So yeah, we're just going to heat this up and let this warm up and brown off. We got our oven preheating. I'll give our sauce here another whisk so we can keep those spices all mixed in. And I need to get a small cookie sheet out to put our dessert shells on. And this meal is really starting to come together. We already got our biscuits done and rising. So let's see here. We cleaned a smaller pan. Alright, I think this pan is just the right size for our dessert shells, and I really don't even need to put anything underneath them. They should not stick to the pan or anything. Alright, let's put these out. I have never used these dessert shells before, so I'm anxious to give them a try. So I'm just getting them on the pan. They are actually all formed and all cooked. You throw the box away. And look at how cute those are. So we're gonna pop these in the oven for just a couple minutes. And we'll get those crisped up. And those will be used later for our dessert. I do really like tapioca pudding, so I think I'm gonna like these. Oops, here goes our sauce. I got to that just in time. Let's get that turned down. Actually, it's rolling over. And as you can see, we did make a little bit of a mess, but